Hello, welcome to today's video where we'll take a look at the price action for Injective, Polkadot and also Bitcoin, which is going to be quite interesting because we've had quite a nice pop today and also yesterday. Like, it's been going quite well for the last few days, and I'm happy to see that the market is finally going bullish again, except the altcoins are kind of struggling right now. We're still at those levels that we're at back when Bitcoin was trading around 45,000, and even though Bitcoin is like 57,000 right now, you know, it may take a while for the altcoins to pick up, if they will do. But I am concerned about a potential pullback with Bitcoin, which would drive the altcoins back to those lows that we've seen them at when Bitcoin was trading at the low 50K. So that could be really concerning. But first, I want to take a look at this Injective chart, and I want to talk about this because I've taken an interesting trade today. So as you can see, Injective has put in quite a pump here. It went to $38.77. This was the high that we've had here, and then it started pulling back a bit. So what I did is I started looking at this when I saw it because I knew that a potential pullback is going to come. I just wasn't sure exactly when. So I just waited for confirmation. I saw that it went down, then it went back up here, and then I saw that the sellers are creeping in once again. And I thought this is going to be a good opportunity to short. Given that the risk to reward would be quite good, because what I would do is I would put my stop loss at the highest of the day, which is this high here, and then the take profit would be around this area where we've got some sort of support. Again, this is for a scalp, okay? So for a scalp, we don't need to go to look all the way back. We just need to look to see where was the last area of support in the short term, okay? Because this is on the 1 minute chart. I normally look at the 1 minute, the 5 minute and the 15 minute chart. Sometimes I take a look at the 30 and the 1 hour just to get a general idea of where the market is, but normally it's the 1 minute and the 5 minutes that I trade off, mostly the 5 minute. And so I had to look at the 1 minute because this is where I get a better idea of the market and how it's going to switch from a bullish trend to a more bearish trend. And I'm not saying bearish in the long run, again, bearish in the short term, because this is about scalping. And so with this kind of pump, there's usually a pullback, right? Almost always, right? It's not guaranteed, but almost always. Sometimes the market could just do this, right? It could bounce off this 21-day moving average, which is the white line, and just continue to move higher, which is fine, right? You can't get them all right, but if you're right 60% of the time, and if you follow this risk to reward ratio, then it should be fine, right? And so I do that, right? I trade off support and resistance areas. And when I find that there's some sort of resistance around this area and it's waiting for that pullback, you know, I would be looking to capitalize on this and place that short. And so I took the short here. Now, unfortunately, this short didn't play out as well as I hoped it would have. I entered around here, like when I saw that the market is starting to go down right after the initial retest of the high and the failure, because this was a clear failure here. It wasn't able to go higher. It wasn't even able to get as high as 38.77 here, right, to do a double top. And so, you know, when I saw it went to like 38.55 here, I thought, you know, let's wait for this and get confirmation, and then I'm going to make an entry because it was a good risk to reward ratio, right, with a stop loss here, entry here, target around here, because this is where we've got the area of support. Now, I'm not going to wait as low as here, but even like 37.29, 37.30 was good enough for me. And so I've set the take profit at 37.29 in my case, right? And I entered at 38.50 here. However, what happened? It went to 38.09 here, and I did take a little bit off the table because, you know, I thought that this was quite a good entry. And then I saw it started going green again, you know, and it started jiggling around here for the next few minutes. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit off the table just in case it does turn out to go against me, and then move the stop loss to break even, because if it does go against me, you know, that's fine. At least I took a little bit off. Although, you know, if this does really go in my favor, it shouldn't be a problem because it's unlikely going to break higher. And so what happened here, it went to 38.45.3 and even 38.474, and I was still in the trade, okay, at the time. And so it didn't go higher than the last high here, which is quite good for me, right? Because this is exactly what I wanted to see. But then what really screwed me up is when this happened, right? Because this knocked me out. And unfortunately, as you can see, it continued to go lower, and I didn't re-enter this trade here. Unfortunately, this was pretty much a double top here. So I should have re-entered this trade, especially when I got confirmation here, but I just didn't follow it. I thought, you know, this is going to continue to go higher. It's probably not going to go back down yet. It still has a lot of fuel in the tank, and it's probably unlikely that it's going to go much lower, you know. given the situation, this choppiness here, what actually happened is that it actually went all the way down to this area where I had my take profit, right? It even went a little bit below. It went to like 37.13, and so I had my take profit at 37.29, which was here. So it would have worked out really, really well. Like this trade would have been really, really good in my favor if I had re-entered here. Unfortunately, I didn't do that, right? Sure, maybe I could have set my stop loss a little bit higher than this, but then, if it would have been just a little bit higher, you could see that it would have tipped me out here, which is really annoying when this happens. It went to 38.81 there, and this one was at 38.77. So maybe if I had it at like $39, giving it a bit more room, I probably could have, because the risk to reward was already very good, given that I had to wait until it would reach this area here, right, eventually. And if that would have worked in my favor, of course, that would have been really profitable. But it is what it is, right? Unfortunately, in the end, because I took a little bit off the table here before I started to see that, this might not go in my favor. I had a kind of a bad feeling that just the way this was moving, with the green bars here, that the buyers were stepping back in here. And so, in the end, I got like $35 off this, which is not bad. If I would have got stopped out, I would have lost like $100 here. So for me, it was still an okay trade. It's better than giving away $100, right? It's better to take a little bit off the table, just so you can feel comfortable. But again, you don't have to do that, right? Some people prefer not to take anything off the table. Personally, I prefer to take 25% if it goes a bit in my favor, and then move the stop loss to break even. Like if I see it at 1 hour, I normally like to take 50% off the table and let the rest run, because if it does go against me, then at least, I can walk out with some profit, and I don't feel as bad about taking that trade and seeing it become a loser when it was actually a winner. So I always like to minimize my losses as much as possible. So that's why a lot of my trades have like small profits, because they're usually break-even trades where I would have been stopped out, and sometimes they wouldn't go in my favor. Sometimes they would just reverse and go against me, but I'd still take a little bit of profit off that rather than, completely miss out. Although this one was a complete miss here. I could have re-entered this trade for sure, especially when this happened here. Especially like maybe now with the first confirmation, because as you can see, we had some green here, we had some buying pressure. But with the next confirmation, I just pretty much confirmed here that, he wanted to go down. So this would have been a nice area to re-enter around 38.40 here. This would have been the perfect area to re-enter this trade and try once again with a stop loss around 38.85. And it would have worked really well, but unfortunately I didn't take it. So it's just lesson learned here, with the double tops, you got to keep an eye out on these double tops, because sometimes they can happen, and you should take advantage of them. If it fails on this double top here, then yeah, sure, you're gonna lose twice. But what if it doesn't? Then it could be really profitable because of the risk to reward ratio here. So as you can see, the trade went back up here. It touched the moving average, and now it looks like it wants to go back down. It could bounce off this red line here, the 100-day moving average, and it might go higher. We don't know for sure yet, but yeah, overall, this would have been a nice trade. It has been missed, unfortunately, so now I just need to wait and see what's going to happen, because Bitcoin is pretty bullish. Bitcoin is trading at 56,757 right now, and as you can see, Injective is mostly moving with Bitcoin because it had this nice pop here to 57,400. And a bit, and then it pulled back, and now it's starting to pull back again. But I think it's gonna ride this moving average really well, because look, we've touched it once here. It almost touched it here, but it went higher, and it could touch it again and then go higher. It could happen. I'm not saying that, but it could just be consolidating for a while, because look at this, like it's riding it really, really well. Like we haven't even touched the 100-day moving average until today, right? If we look at this chart here. This was yesterday when we started the run-up, yesterday after lunch, and it wasn't until today that we touched it. So there were more than 12 hours passed before we touched the 100-day moving average. So it just shows you that it was really bullish. I mean, look at this nice pop here to 57K before that major pullback. So this could have been another nice scalp here. Take this one, see it go down. When it loses momentum. As soon as you lose the momentum, you short it and then just ride it all the way down here and exit for a nice profit. Now, Polkadot is kind of struggling, right? It is at $8.19 right now. It went to $8.24 today, which is good to see, because it has broken that resistance area of $8. That resistance area was really annoying, to be fair. If we look at the 5-minute chart here, it is still on the uptrend, which is good. On the 1 hour chart, it looks like we want to go back over to this area of 850. So it could potentially retest this area of 850, which we've seen on the 11th of January. So it's been more than a month now since we have seen this price. We could potentially see this again in the next day or two. I mean, it's got the trajectory for that price, and it did look bullish here, like I was saying to you before when I was looking at this chart. You know, when we started seeing this kind of momentum here around the 10th of February here, you know, we already had a sign here that this is going to continue to go higher. We just didn't know how high it's going to go, of course. But then it went to like 810 here, as you can see, and then it pulled back down all the way down to 730 before making a higher high now to go to 820. So I am expecting this to retest 850, but we'll see if it breaks out of that 850 zone, right? Hopefully it will, of course, because in the long term, you know, if Bitcoin is bullish, the market holds up, you know, we should see the altcoins eventually pick back up. And that's what I'm hoping for. And that's what you're probably hoping for too, right? So yeah, let's watch DOT at 850. It's been doing quite well for a number of days now, so could potentially retest the 50-day moving average, which is the green line here on the 1 hour, which means you would see maybe around $7.90. But until then, I am expecting it to go a little bit higher. Again, it depends on Bitcoin. Like, we really need Bitcoin to stabilize itself, to find some consolidation. If Bitcoin consolidates and doesn't dump all the way back down to the low 50K, then we do have a good shot at seeing Polkadot at 850, possibly today, possibly tomorrow, or even the next day. Although I'm expecting it to happen today or tomorrow, the way things are going, it's not far off. We're talking only 30 cents. So we are very close to that area of resistance for Polkadot, which is the second area of resistance. The last one that we broke was at $8, which is great to see that we finally broken out of it. So now we've got this next one here. And then if we break that, we're off to the races. We could potentially see $9 dot once again. But let's see 850, 860 first before we can celebrate with the $9 dot. Thank you for watching this short video. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.